Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we're going to explore what Compound V really is, one of the most dangerous substances ever conceived by the human mind. And it doesn't come from a secret government lab or an alien civilization, but from an unbridled ambition to create gods among men. Among all the fictional substances that have shaken both the world of comics and television, few are as feared, unstable, and powerful as Compound V. This mysterious formula, developed by the German scientist Friedrich Vought, is the source of the superpowers that define the dreaded Supes in the brutal universe of the boys. That's why in this video I'm going to explain in depth what Compound V really is, how it manages to grant abilities to both humans and animals, and then I'll talk to you about the mutant aberrations we witnessed in this latest and terrifying season. It all began during World War II, when Friedrich Vought sought to create super soldiers for the Third Reich. What he discovered was far more than he expected. When interacting with the human body, Compound V triggered unpredictable mutations, resulting in unique powers influenced by the subject's genetics, health, and even personality. With the imminent collapse of the Nazi regime, Vought negotiated his immunity by offering his research to the United States government. President Franklin D. Roosevelt accepted the deal, and thus the experiment crossed the Atlantic. On American soil, Vought founded a corporation with government backing, marking the beginning of the era of Supes in America, an era launched by figures like Soldier Boy, the country's first official superhero. Over the years, Compound V was refined, but it also became more lethal. In adults, a single dose could mean death. However, when administered to infants or young children, the chances of success increased, although the effects were volatile and sometimes took years to manifest. A notable example is Kimiko, who lost her powers and later regained them after receiving a new dose of the compound. This confirms that the effects of V can be reactivated in adults, though never without consequences. In children, on the other hand, the results often spiral into violent and tragic episodes. Compound V has a distinctive appearance, a dark blue liquid contained in small vials. Just one injection into the bloodstream is enough to trigger extraordinary abilities. Over time, Vought developed a temporary version known as B24 or TempV, which grants powers for 24 hours but at a high cost. More than 2 doses can cause lethal side effects, leading the user to certain death. In animals, the compound acts similarly, although its effects tend to repeat within the same species. In a secret facility run by Stan Edgar and Victoria Newman, Dr. Samir conducted experiments combining Compound V with an experimental virus designed to exterminate Supes. This virus became more aggressive when interacting with organisms altered by the serum. One of the most catastrophic events occurred when a hamster was injected with Compound V. The creature developed heat vision, similar to Homelander's, and escaped, causing destruction in the lab. Its escape contaminated the water and drainage system, triggering a wave of mutations in all the farm animals. Meanwhile, a rabbit was subjected to tests with TempV, but due to the chaos unleashed, it remained exposed to the serum far longer than allowed. The result: an unstable, dangerous, and nearly unrecognizable creature. The first signs of this nightmare emerged when the main group encountered mutant chickens while tracking Dr. Samir. But those chickens were only the beginning. What followed was an avalanche of monsters born from the deadly fusion of reckless science, unrestrained ambition, and a formula that should never have existed. At first, these mutated animals may seem harmless, but don't be fooled by appearances. One of the most shocking moments occurs when a simple chicken, apparently normal, lunges at a security guard and, with a single jump, pierces his chest. The scene is brutal, quick, and leaves everyone present in shock. However, the most unsettling thing isn't the attack, But what happens afterward? The creature walks calmly, as if nothing had happened, oblivious to the chaos it just caused. The guards try to react, opening fire on the mutated chickens, but their bullets are useless. These birds possess an unnatural resistance, completely insensitive to conventional damage. And although we expected a counterattack, something perplexing happens. They don't seem interested in fighting. They don't react with violence. In fact, one of the chickens approaches the lifeless body of a victim and uses it as a nest. It makes its way inside the corpse, seemingly to incubate something. The image is as surreal as it is disturbing. Later on, we follow Butcher, who comes across the rabbit he had injected with temporary compound V. He finds it in a pitiful state, panting, almost immobile. Something is clearly wrong. Moments later, the rabbit dies, but the nightmare is just beginning. From within its body emerges a parasitic creature with tentacles and a disturbing movement. This organism seems to have slowly grown inside the rabbit, feeding off it until it killed it. The parasite wastes no time. Sensing its host is dead, it begins to move, looking for a new body to inhabit. Everything points to this creature being the true cause of the rabbit's death, and this casts a shadow of worry over Butcher himself. Could he be incubating something similar? There are clues suggesting that his parasite acts more like a protective symbiote than an enemy, as it saved him from Ezekiel's attack, according to a vision he has in the 6th episode. Even so, Butcher's repulsion is evident. Without a second thought, he crushes the parasite with his boot and walks away from the scene, visibly shaken. The story takes another turn when the group encounters a bull modified by Compound V. Its strength is colossal. It breaks a fence with a single charge. It's ready to attack. It scratches the ground, snorts, but before it can move, a group of mutated sheep falls on it, and they tear it apart in seconds. That's when they understand. The real terror of the farm wasn't the chickens or the bull, but these monstrous sheep. There aren't enough words to describe the brutality of these creatures. Not only do they possess enormous strength, but they also have wild aggression, an unstoppable ferocity. And the most terrifying thing, they can fly. Their appearance is straight out of a nightmare. Completely white eyes or distorted pupils, teeth replaced by sharp fangs, and a rabid carnivorous behavior. They attack in groups, relentless, destroying everything in their path. One of them even brutally destroys a guard who tries to escape by jumping over a fence. Desperate, the survivors take refuge in a reinforced barn. The doors hold, but they know they can't stay there forever. That's when they decide to risk everything. They use an experimental dose of a virus designed specifically to combat organisms altered by Compound V. And for a moment, it seems to work. The sheep calm down. They even enter the barn without showing signs of aggression. But the illusion lasts for a short time. Their wild nature prevails. They roar like beasts and resume the attack with even more fury. They fly in circles, lurking from the air. The group prepares for the worst, until, slowly, the virus starts to take effect. One by one, the creatures fall from the sky. One of them, about to strike starlight, suddenly stops, vomits a dark liquid, and dies with a grotesque spasm. For the first time, they find a real weakness in these beasts. Neither conventional weapons nor Victoria Newman's powers, which can explode human skulls with just a glance, can harm these sheep. Which leads us to a chilling conclusion. These creatures were exposed to extreme levels of Compound V, even surpassing supers like Homelander or Black Noir. Their only real vulnerability is a virus carefully designed to destroy them from within. So, if you ever wondered what would happen if Compound V escaped human control and leaked into the animal kingdom, this farm is your answer. An experiment gone wrong, a chain of unforeseen mutations, and the birth of the most lethal creatures we've seen so far in the boys. And that's all we know about Compound V so far, the most feared, coveted, and lethal substance in the boys. A serum that, far from being a simple experiment, has shaped the fate of thousands and redefined what it means to have power. Personally, I find it fascinating how a single formula can transform an ordinary person into a deity or a monster. And it made me think of other creations from science fiction that try to play God, like Marvel's Super Soldier Serum, but taken to a much darker and more realistic level. Now tell me, did you already know all these details about Compound V? Do you think humanity would ever be able to create something like that in real life? And most importantly, if you had the chance to inject yourself with a dose, knowing the risks, would you do it? Leave me your answers in the comments. I'd love to read your thoughts on this dangerous substance and what it represents within the story of the boys. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, share it to help more people discover this content, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos.